at Notre Dame who just insulted every basic truth of Catholicism. What happened to the concept that it was one universal, holy, apostolic, and that the Pope was in charge?
Well, it is. And I'm going to let everybody take a shot at answering this. I just have one thing to say. What's wrong with being yelled at? You're grown up enough to take it, just like I am. We get yelled at and we go on and do the work. We can't worry about the fact that we were yelled at. We can't worry about the fact that so-and-so called us a neocon or a single-issue voter or Republican or arch-conservative or ultra-conservative or someone that doesn't care about them. We can't care about that.
Well, if I could just partially answer that. The problem with somebody yelling at one individual is you're delivering a message to the rest of the congregation. Don't you dare try to say things like that.
Okay, I think Betty's frustration is one that I meet all over the country all the time. I'd be interested in what some of the other panelists have to say.
I love disagreeing with Deal. My experience, I'm far younger than you, is that I'm just kidding, but a steel backbone that the pro-choice left has, when it meets with hesitancy, will always win. And what we have very often is hesitancy, and my concern with comments coming from, it's not just comments backed up by years of hesitancy within the Republican Party often, is that that will happen again. And it's so not necessary because it strengthens a very strong pro-marriage, pro-life, pro-strong economic reform ticket will be the strongest ticket that a 2012 ticket could be. There will be more voters that come to that, not fewer. My thought on just being a churchgoer is to continue. We are one Holy Catholic Apostolic Church, whether there is division or not. We are in reality that, and that the moment that we fall back, will be the moment the division just increases and increases. And the same is certainly true in terms of passing laws to save lives and save marriage.
Hi, I'm from Maryland. Dale, I think your insights on I think you put the frustration over the lack of intensity are right on point, and you say it the right way. And I know a lot of people, friends, so forth, priests I know have discussed this too, and we think really what's at the core of this, and I'd be interested to get your views and everybody else's, is odd to say, but the reward structure of the diocesan priest, essentially the reward structure, maybe not just of the diocesan priest, but other orders too, from the top down is kind of a, just to use shorthand, a bureaucratic, don't rock the boat. And the reward structure is based around who can build an organ in their church. And there's nothing wrong with money, and we all raise money, but also who can raise the money. And as long as we have that reward structure, which I truly think starts from the top down, we're going to suffer as a church and then in civil society from this frustration over the lack of intensity. And you're absolutely right, some Catholics are going to look elsewhere because they're not going to feel served and they're going to feel let down by their church. But I'd be interested to get your comment.
I just want to observe that where you have the intensity that we feel is generally lacking, you have flourishing dioceses and flourishing parishes. You know, they're not hurt by that at all. They benefit from it.
I think Maggie, you want to go on that?
I am from Georgia, and I am not a Catholic, but I have been working with pro-life organization. Right now I'm in a crisis pregnancy center in my neck of the woods. And I'm very much interested in pro-life issues. I have some specific questions about bills, and if you know anything about the bills, or if you know of any developments that we might be in the dark for. One of them is H.R. 212, which has been sponsored by Paul Brown in Georgia, and it has to do with the sanctity of human life. And a second one, of which he is a co-sponsor, is the human life at conception issue, meaning that the idea is to understand that the life at conception is human, and therefore not in discussion. Another bill that has been proposed by Roger Wicker of Mississippi is the Senate Bill 91, which also has to do with this humanness of life at conception. So I'd like to know more about those bills and what the developments might be.
Well, I think Marjorie, a couple of those bills were state legislature bills, but I think Marjorie, you can speak to the Wicker legislation. He's actually got 3 pieces of pro-life legislation that he's co-sponsored in this Congress. But the concepts you discussed, though, are also being dealt with in other state houses across the country.
I would just say quickly, not to be dismissive, but in the interest of time, they in this Congress have no consensus. That's why they're not moving.
Back, no, I'll just let you project, so. Go ahead.
Larry, you hit the nail right on the head when you were talking about church-going Catholics being more likely to support our position. In 2004, 65% of church-going Catholics voted for George Bush. And even in the congressional race last year in Northern Virginia, in a blue district, self-identified Catholics, not necessarily church-going, just self-identified Catholics hold 12 points higher for the Republican congressional candidate than non-Catholics. But the thing that you know that how many campaigns I've done, and we're constantly encountering hostility from local priests and the church structure, and it's very, very difficult to get in there and get our message into the people that are very likely to come out and support our types of candidates. And you know, we've made some headway with the Knights of Columbus, which nobody mentioned, which is an excellent source of votes for our candidates. But it's just a tough road, and if you have any other insights as to how we can get in there and get our message out to these voters, and then, as you said, turn them out to come out and vote for us in November.
When we do the research and create the voter guide scorecard, compare and contrast piece, and put it on the internet for people to download and print to hand out to people, for those people who don't have the internet, that's great. But virtually every school has a list of parents that communicate with each other. Virtually all the parish bulletins now have a website with a bunch of emails. You can send them the information without any cost of printing or postage or any of the rest of it, and that is a very effective tool. It's a matter of going out and pillar and post, block and tackle, gathering the information and building those relationships so that you're not locked off in the spam. The only other one point that I want to make on the contraception issue is we have to now say fertilization because of test tube babies and that. The other side is now arguing that conception happens once the embryo is implanted, and up until that point they consider it not to be human. So we have to talk about fertilization being the point of beginning life.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll take one last from Anna Little, and then we'll wrap up. I see some of the panelists for the next session here, including a former colleague. So.
I'm pretty loud, but I just want to give you a little bit of encouragement from what we saw in McBrown in 2010 in New Jersey. I'm a stubborn lady. I think some of you know that already. And frankly, I didn't let priests say no to us taking action inside of the church itself stop me from getting to the congregants. We did it through our social activities. They didn't want me in the back of the church at Mass time, so when we had a pancake breakfast, I walked around to every table, just like I work at the tables at any political event. I went to the fair. I didn't call ahead. I didn't ask permission. I didn't bring a sign with me and hang it up, but somebody walked around behind me with a t-shirt with my name on it. And we went around and shook hands and handed out a business card. Now, they can't say no to a business card. So, if you really want to get your message out, I did it in New Jersey. I did not receive any public consternation, and at the end of the campaign, a few of the churches that knew me best actually did put "Vote Pro-Life" on the marquee in front of the church, which was a sign to me that they were supportive, and I didn't ask for that. So I think we can do it. We can do it in our own way, and if we could do it in New Jersey, which is considered a blue state, I guess you could do it anywhere.
Well, thank you for that. We're going to need to wrap up. We have the next session starting to gather. We will move out into the ante area here to continue discussion with anyone else that has questions for the panelists for as long as they can stick around. So thank you all for being a part of our session this afternoon, and God bless you all.